Cornering is probably one of the most important parts of biking, but one that most of us get wrong, myself included. I'm Steve from Bike Social. We're here today at Brands Hatch with California Superbike School at their Cornering Confidence course. So, let's see what today has to offer. The day's really easy going, we're not too early a start and fairly short briefing before we're out on circuit. The Cornering Confidence course is held at tracks around the country, but it uses cones in the paddock area rather than the main track. This is great because if you get it wrong you can just run past the cones in total safety. The temptation is just to go as quick as you can and kind of forget your line, but there's a couple of times when the front end felt a little bit vague just on the hairpin at the far end. But other than that, no, it was really good. Stay in one gear, didn't touch the brakes all the way around, didn't really use the clutch much, just a case of rolling on and off, trying to keep as stable as I could. Throughout the day we progressed from riding in one gear, never touching the brakes, to riding just as we would on the road. So that was ideally 2 gears, although I did most of it in 1 gear. Light braking, but really looking through the corner, picking your apex point, and then as soon as you've hit your apex, looking at your exit. From then on it was just ragging it all the way around. It was just awesome. I didn't look down once, I just all the time just looking at the apex. Really good fun. Oh, that was the final session. It's just too short. It all came together really nicely. I got a few tips on just how to hold your leg against the tank, just to ease around the corners a little bit, because I was twisting, which I didn't quite realise I was doing. But yeah, just fantastic. Really came together really nicely. Really good rhythm, good speed. I think I lost the back end a couple of times coming out the corners, but that was good. It was good fun. So I just wanted to do more. It really doesn't matter what bike you have, from cruisers to sports and adventure bikes, anybody can become more confident on any bike. So Gary, if someone's really struggling with their cornering and find it all a bit too scary, what kind of tips would you give for them?
I think the important thing really is to ride at a pace where you're comfortable and you can think about what you're doing. One of the things we've worked on particularly today is our turn entry speed, and to get your turn entry speed right really is quite critical when it comes to corners. If you're going too fast, then you start getting a little bit scared. It becomes quite a stressful place to be. Yeah. And similarly, if you go into the turn a little bit too slow, then you're trying to make up the speed you've lost on the way through the turn and the exit, which then leads into all sorts of other problems as far as your riding's concerned. So cut yourself some slack, ride at about 75% or 80% of your maximum ability to give you some spare attention to think about it. Practice, as we've done today, maybe practice going into the turns without using your brakes. Sounds quite scary at first, but the thing is that helps you develop your sense of speed and your turn entry speed and develop it up here rather than relying on the brakes, and of course that will start to eliminate those other mistakes that you'll make through the turns themselves. You'll find as well that a lot of riders tend to commit themselves to the turn too early before they can really see what's happening with the turn, the shape of the turn, and in some cases, certainly when we ride on the road, if there's something around the corner in the road that we may need to avoid. Okay. And so in that case, really, when riders go in early, they tend to apex the turn early and find they run wide on the exit, which in some cases can put you into the hedge, or even worse situation, more extreme, into the path of the oncoming traffic. So, work on your turn entry speed, make sure that when you get into the turn and commit it, you have enough information to be able to deal with whatever you may be able to see around there. Make sure you can stop in the distance you can see to be clear too. That makes things a lot safer for us, and it eliminates the chances of any nasty surprises biting us or seriously hurting us when we go out there to ride. But those are the most important things. Plus, of course, make sure that when you do look into the turns, you look where you want to go. We go where we look, and it's important, particularly in those situations, that we don't stare at the outside of the road or the opposite side of the road, because invariably we'll find ourselves there. And these things take quite a bit of practice, but the important thing is that once you start to practice them, they make more sense, and they make you ultimately a safer and ironically a faster rider. And that's where a lot of people like to be, either safer or faster, and in some cases both. The reason we laid out a course here today really is because it's a very low gradient. We've had somebody who's recently passed the CBT here today, to people who've done track days in the intermediate group, and they've all gone away and learnt something, because it doesn't matter where it is, a corner's a corner. And of course the nice thing about this is it's low gradient, so people can learn at a nice gentle pace. They're not expected to go quickly. We laid out a variety of turns for everybody, and you know, it gave them the opportunity to practice in that safe, controlled environment. And as we've all noticed with the riders today, they've gone from this morning to actually being very, very smooth. If the rider's smooth and the rider's dealing with the information they receive and they make smooth control actions on the bike, then the bike's going to feel a lot better, it's going to be happier, the rider's going to be more confident, because he'll be getting decent feedback from the bike as well. And you know, we've all been out there where we've been rough with the controls and thought we were doing really well because the bike was being thrown around like a rag doll, and actually, you know, if you look at all the top riders, their control actions in particular and the way they deal with the bike and how they apply the controls make them extremely smooth riders, no matter how quickly they're going.
Thanks, Gary, that's brilliant. If you want to do this course, you can book on the link below. There's more dates being added all the time, and don't forget, Bennett's customers get a discount.